get right into game number 1 here. It's going to be Fino on that Rogue, with which he won 3 in a row against Ike earlier today, and Zalae on the Token Druid. So Rogue versus Token Druid, it's a matchup we've seen quite a few times. It can certainly go either way, but it does seem like if the Rogue gets off to an early start with those 2 cards right there, Hench Clan Thug, Edwin Van Cleef, if they can find the Falderai Strider, then the Rogue just has a lot of early game tempo that the Druid can definitely struggle to deal with.
Yeah, and we've seen it time and again that the Druid has so many different things it has to do, but it can get them done if the Rogue has a slow start. But if it just gets off that very early Wisps, and it makes sense to have a Whispering Woods at the time, which sometimes doesn't, with Fan of Knives being a gigantic issue, then the Druid should take control. But we are seeing the Rogue winning more of these matches than I expected it to.
Yeah, you would think that Spreading Plague would just be good enough, combined with, branching paths for armor. You don't necessarily need it for damage in this matchup. And Oaken Summons, the Druid has so much armor gain potential and a lot of defensive potential, though it is an overtly aggressive deck. But I don't know, Miracle Rogue just does Miracle Rogue things, and that's why it's been performing so well this tournament.
And it's going to do Miracle Rogue things in this game. Zalae hasn't got the wild growth, which makes such a huge difference. We say this every tournament for however many years
4
we've
years.
been doing Hearthstone, right? But it's so important. And the other thing we've been saying for as long as Hearthstone has been going is Edwin Van Cleef with the coin is a good card.
We have seen a lot of players just choosing to coin out that Edwin, get that 4/4. Nice and simple, not too much of, an extension into the Edwin Van Cleef that you're losing out on future plays, but still good enough pressure in the early game. However, this is definitely a matchup where an early 6/6, 8/8, 10/10 Edwin Van Cleef can just win the game.
6/6 gets you out of swipe range, and with that in mind as well, I think we'll see Fino try and find a way to make this Thug into a 5/5 as quickly as possible.
Oh, yeah.
So they're just doing the standard attack. One thing that's impressed me about both of these players, particularly Fino, because Zalae naturally is like it anyway, is how considered they've been even on obvious turns, or obvious-looking turns. Fino is naturally a little bit of a quicker player than Zalae, but to maintain this level of focus for 3 days, some of which have been very long, especially Zalae, who at the end of day 1 was playing 3 hours after everybody else.
Yeah.
To keep that level of focus and keep yourself doing it for that long is just so difficult.
I don't know how I'd never noticed before just how methodically Zalae plays.
It's because Life Coach used to exist.
Yeah, I guess compared to Life Coach, everybody was not as slow as Life Coach.
But I think Zalae has actually slowed himself down even a little bit more as well.
Well, you know what? It's not a bad thing. If you make it this far in a tournament, you owe it to yourself to take the full duration of your turn.
Of course.
To make your plays. And a lot of players, they don't need that, and that's totally fine. But sometimes it can come back to bite them, and Zalae's just really covering his bases every turn he takes.
One of the things that I think has helped Fino, has helped all 3 of them. Glazer and Boar are both considered players. And I think all 3 of those guys, if you're talking about plays with those people, they're going to have long discussions. I mean, I spoke to Boar Control about 1 turn for about 2 hours once.
Oh,
It'd probably been 3 minutes if you've been talking to someone to give him a good answer, but... we spoke about this play over and over. We couldn't resolve the math in the end. We had to go and work it out with maths.
Wow.
Because the discussion was going nowhere. Just literally to do with playing 1 card out of 2 in his hand.
I mean, I think those conversations are worthwhile, but also it would drive you a little bit crazy. You only have 75 seconds to figure it out.
But that's the point. Next time that comes up, he's got it. He knows, because you can't figure it out in 75 seconds at the board. So all these discussions mean you've got that in the memory bank for later if something similar or that exact thing comes up again.
All right, that's fair enough. Fino going with the Hench Clan Thug right on 3 because he can make an absolutely massive Edwin very, very soon. And if Zalae doesn't have a swipe here or a Wrath plus hero power onto the Thug, then there is a chance that that Thug just gets to continue living. Gets to grow.
And when it gets out of range, it just becomes a massive problem to deal with. You start having to expend resources. And when I say resources in this matchup, I don't necessarily so much mean the cards that you expend, because the Druid ends up with cards, whatever it does. It ultimately infestations if it has to.
Yeah.
But the mana and the time it has to spend. Look at this, Zalae's turn here has been, again, he's only used a Wrath. It's not a massive expenditure of cards and resources, which is what people think of. But he's wasted a turn.
It wasn't a wasted turn, but
He's used up a turn doing something he didn't want to have to do, and now he's going to have to do it again.
Exactly. It was a turn where he wasn't able to flip the tempo of the game.
Right. And
Fino has kept it still.
So important to Rogue to keep that tempo, as you say.
He really is just being very patient with this Edwin. I do have a tendency to sort of jump the gun. As soon as I can make the biggest Edwin possible, especially in this matchup, I think I would feel probably obligated to go for it. And maybe sometimes it would work out, but maybe sometimes it really, really wouldn't. So I'm kind of interested to see when Fino really wants to go for it here. When is the right time?
But at the moment, he's got 7 cards in hand. They total 9, and one of them's a coin. So on turn 8, you could play them all. Just get the whole lot out there. That's obviously not what's going to happen, but hey, there's a big Edwin waiting to occur.
Big cleave. Zalae with the Oaken summons for the teacher. Fino can just clear it off with the Falderai Strider and the dagger.
He has a million ways to get rid of this. It's a case of what he wants to do. I mean, sapping it and just developing more stuff might be good here.
That Vile Spine is an option now.
I mean, there's also a big Edwin with sap, the Firefly, the coin.
Ooh,
that looks that actually looks tasty.
Okay.
And you've still got backstab Vile Spine, and then the Edwin can hit face after you Vile Spine. That might be a play he's really tempted by here.
Yeah, that's going to be it. So Edwin coming down on turn 5.
And the key to this, which is the key to making good Edwins, is he didn't waste a card. He didn't just burn a card for the sake of it here. These were all things he was going to do anyway this turn. So, hey, the Edwin just fits in, and I'm not wasted any resources doing that Edwin, making that Edwin.
It is before double swipe turn. He did test for the swipe earlier on, maybe, with that Hench Clan Thug. Didn't see one from Zalae. Maybe can assume there isn't one in hand. Spreading Plague can be played this turn and maybe soak up a good amount of damage for Zalae. So it is possible that Fino could have thought about not playing that Flame Elemental, but giving +2/+2 to the Edwin, I do think was worth it here, especially with Backstab Eviscerate in hand and that Vile Spine Slayer to just nullify the additional Scarab generated by the Flame Elemental.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And as you're going to get through the 1/5s pretty easily, having an extra one there isn't too much of a disaster. And if he hasn't got it, the extra 1/2 is just so handy to have lurking about, picking off any potential wisp problems that he might have to deal with.
Spreading Plague, Arcane Tyrant, the first, well, sizable board that Zalae's had access to, but really still not a whole lot going on here.
Again, this is where not going crazy on the win. Like, you could have backstabbed the Violet Teacher, then stab it, which is just a total waste. But, you know, people do these things. Just use the cards that you're going to use anyway. And now he's got the backstab access to activate all sorts of things this turn. The mana doesn't quite work out for a perfectly beautiful turn here, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
Now this board state, that's one of the Spreading Plague gone, and it hasn't done anything. Well, it has. It stopped him from dying. But other than stopping him from dying, that minor detail, it's just an overbearing looking board here that Zalae's got to contend with.
It was 6 mana, gain a lot of health, but that's a temporary health gain, and Fino still has a board that Zalae has not been able to contest.
And it's even bigger now.
Yeah. Double Violet Teacher in hand, Oaken summons as well. Just without Whispering Woods. Whispering Woods and Soul of the Forest here would be potentially game-winning.
I think Zalae will be looking here into the future as to how he can get a Soul of the Forest on any sort of half-decent board now. First of all, he'll wonder, can I get through Ultimate Infestation and keep some of this stuff back? Because if he can do that, then he can do the thing that they do. Play Whispering Woods, play Soul of the Forest, have an unkillable board, basically. But I think he's going to come to the conclusion pretty rapidly that he can't yet. You know, when I said any board he can, I didn't expect it to be this small. He just decided, I need this board presence right now, and I'll work it out after UI later.
And I was kind of eyeing it. I think Zalae he's forced here to utilize this Savage Roar with the Treants just to clear the board, I'm pretty sure. So knowing that the Violet Teacher generates the Apprentice first and then the Soul of the Forest would generate a Treant from it, this is a worthwhile enough use of that card.
Yeah, just not being too greedy. The same applies to the Edwin that applies to these. You know, just don't be too greedy, save some stuff. But this isn't being greedy for Fino. This is going for a final game-winning attempt at a push. He's seen Zalae make this play. He realized Zalae must be low on stuff, because why else would he make that play? And what he's doing here, because Zalae used his Soul of the Forest a little tiny bit, well, a little tiny bit
Windows key, no.
frivolously. He's making sure that he can't get a double Soul of the Forest going on.
There's the Whispering Woods, one turn too late. And Fino, knowing that Zalae is only on turn 9, Ultimate Infestation is not active. When Spreading Plague is gone, it's just a matter of time before he's able to close out this game. And I believe make that his 4th win in a row with this Miracle Rogue deck.
Yeah, at least. That's just going back from today. I don't even know what he did in the round before.
Yeah.
So Fino looking fantastic here early on. Getting rid of a deck that, you know, you can definitely lose to. But again, Miracle Rogue just beating the Token Druid as well.
Getting rid of one of the decks that we were just saying is, you know, kind of setting itself apart as a contender for best deck in the format.
And this is why Warrior has been so good, because it destroys this deck.
Yeah, it does.
So the bringing of the Warrior may be the best next level play that anyone has done. They've identified the potential for Token Druid to be the most popular deck, which I think it has been. And the Warriors that there weren't many next level plays. We were saying on day one, the meta's so open, it was hard to go too many levels above. I still maintain that Amnesiac's lineup, he just brought decks with good cards in them and decided to outplay people.
It certainly worked out for him, but here Fino looks to be getting the better of Zalae with this Miracle Rogue, and then that means Zalae has his own Rogue and his Divine Spirit Innerfire Priest to try and counter this Rogue deck. Divine Spirit Innerfire Priest does not fight the best in the early game. You've got Duskbreakers, but you don't really have an easy way to kill off a turn 3 Hench Clan Thug.
You can't do that thing you do where you Innerfire a fairly medium minion to a 7/7 or something early on,
Yeah.
and they get sapped and you've wasted all your cards. You know, you can do that and you might have to do that, but you don't want to do that.
So maybe Zalae just has to go into the mirror here, willingly play Rogue versus Rogue and just hope to get the better of Fino's Rogue deck.
Yeah, and that's, for me, a straight 50-50 when these two players are involved. Like, you can outplay Miracle Rogue players in the mirror very well, because there's good Rogue players and there's bad, and there's not much in between. But unfortunately for both these players, they're both good Rogue players.
1 damage.
Yeah, this deck, one thing that's surprised me about the Token Druid, having seen all the top players playing, is it refuses to die. It really has good sustain compared to what it should do. It's playing a bunch of Wisps, for goodness sake. How can that be good? But it just refuses to fall over.
They've made it good. Nah, the Hench Clan Thug attacked already, so it would have been 7 damage off lethal for Fino. Might as well full trade over. And again, nothing is touching this Edwin. Zalae has Ultimate Infestation finally, can kill the Hench Clan Thug, and then that's still 15 damage on board. Zalae is at 15 life. So he's going to UI anyway. Fino will deal the finishing points of damage, and that is going to be game number 1. Over to the Greek representative.
Yeah, and he will be the representative this year, not getting voted onto the team last year. Silly Greek people.
So
How did you not vote for this player? But he put in a lot of time with their Global Games team last year to make sure that they had all the access to it. And the reason I mention that so often is they all basically said, don't forget to mention Fino. He's good. He helps us a lot.